Now, more of your go-to for all things home. This is Home Answers Radio, presented by Lang Home Medical Equipment, Valdecast Windows and Doors, and by JeffBuysYourHouse.com. Once again, here's Roger Piper.
Your go-to for all things home. It's Home Answers Radio.
Hi, welcome to Home Answers. I'm Roger Piper. This show is all about your home, inside, outside, and everything about it. And I'll tell you what, I'll make you a little promise. If you spend the next few minutes with us, you'll learn a few things that maybe you didn't know. Jeff Neidiger from Jeff Buys Your House is on with us right now, and our guest. Welcome to the show, Jeff.
Hey, Roger. Thanks for having me on again.
You bet. Now, JeffBuysYourHouse.com is the website, and if you want to write down the phone number, I will give it again. It's 630-895-9530. And Jeff, tell us a little bit just give us an overview about what you do.
Sure. We're a cash home buyer serving the Chicagoland area. We're a local business, veteran-owned, as you said, and they've been buying houses since 2007, where we work with sellers that they don't have to go the traditional route if they don't want to. They can sell to us, control the time frame, not have to worry about paying any fees or any commissions. It just takes all the stress and hassle out of the home selling process.
Yeah, so really, when it comes to selling your home, you offer another option that instead of the traditional route, where as you list it, you get a realtor, you pay the commission, you do the showings, and you do all of that stuff. And probably, I don't know of many properties I've ever heard of that didn't need some kind of renovation. Some a lot, some not so much. But that's another consideration when you're doing the traditional route, is that you have to get the contractors, you got to get it done, and then you have to look at taking care of it and getting it ready and do that whole route. Now, that's one route. And the route that you do is that you come in and basically say, here's a cash offer. And with that cash offer, you've got the opportunity then to not pay commissions, because that can be a hassle, not going through the showings and not doing the renovations. So you do those things before you put it on the market. So really, you're kind of a transfer of risk, aren't you, when it comes to that?
That's right. Yeah, and another way to think about it is it really is, and the option isn't for every single person. We realize that. There's no hard sale with that, but it really is the home selling easy button, if you will.
Yep, and you're not looking to rip people off, are you? Like if the house is worth $400,000, you're not going to come in and offer them $1,000 or like $100,000.
No. I would say it's a realistic cash offer. Again, there's got to be some built-in margin for us of taking that risk on. But it's all relative to today's market, and I would say people are getting closer to what they think the house might be worth in general.
Yeah, and I think that makes sense. So another scenario is that you've just inherited something, and I know that that is something that happens a lot to people. So a relative passes, all of a sudden you've inherited, et cetera. Why would you be a good choice for that when somebody's just all of a sudden, hey, you own a home?
Yeah, good question. We are a house buying company, but we really are a relationship company. So from the moment that you engage with us on the telephone, when we're talking about coming out and potentially meeting with you and walking through your house or your property, and then sitting with you in, let's say, the living room and talking about your goals for selling your home, it means something to us. So we're going to take our time. We're going to go slow. We're going to educate you, and then we're going to leave you with a contract in writing. But we want you to feel comfortable all along the way in answering those questions to make sure that's a smooth transition and transaction, quite honestly.
Yeah, and transition is a big thing. People downsizing. They're okay, I've had this house, I've had it forever, and I'm going to go to a townhome. I'm going to move to Florida, Arizona, whatever.
Yes.
With those transitions, again, you still deal with reality. And the reality is the house is worth X amount in the realty world. And if you do these renovations or do these things, it's going to be worth this much more. And then you have a commission and you have the showings and you have the renovations. So it really kind of is the easy button for transitions. And tell us a little bit how you work with people that are looking to downsize and looking to maybe move and have to do things quickly.
Well, yeah, good question. Because we are a local family-owned real estate house buyer, we can be a little more creative than just your traditional, homeowner buyer. So, for instance, we just recently had a property that we purchased from a seller, and the transition, we talk about that, the transition from when she was going to sell the house to us and when she was going to buy her new place, was, let's say, 2 weeks away. So we were able to purchase her house, get her the funds that she needed to clear up some stuff, get things cleaned up, and then she could stay in the house for 2 weeks. So it's just one example of, she didn't own the home anymore, but we were able to agree on her staying 2 weeks with possession post-closing. That way she could make that transition. It made it really, really smooth for her. She left us a 5-star review, and it was just a really good relationship, great transaction.
Yeah, and I think that's very important because it's stressful. You're talking about your home. So it is very, very stressful. Jeff Buys Your House, jeffbuysyourhouse.com is the website. I encourage you to go check them out. And then also, I told you I'd give you the phone number again, 630-895-9530, 630-895-9530. No consultation, no pressure, no hassle. Just call and talk about your house. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay. And, again, I encourage you to at least look at this option. Many good options like this didn't really exist before. So if you haven't been in a situation where you've had to sell some property in 15, 20 years, it's changed a lot. It has become a very, very viable option. Let's talk about seasonality, too. Wintertime, yay. And if you have a vacant property, maybe that you have all of a sudden you own, whether, whatever situation, you can't really have a vacant property just sitting there in the wintertime, can you?
No, I would say that's one of the greatest risks. And it may be something where that you were a landlord and you had a tenant, and it just happened to be where the unit or the property is going to be vacant during the winter months, and you're not sure what to do. I can tell you from experience, as being one of the largest home buyers, we're also one of the largest home sellers, which means I own all this real estate. That vacant property is one of those things that can really be kind of a chaotic experience if you don't maintain it and manage it just so during the cold months, whether it be from frozen pipes like we talked about before. But we can joke about it, but if you check the furnace in the morning, everything's fine. If it's not on by the nighttime in some of these colder months, then it's one of those things. And so, I think it's great for the listeners to hear that we should be checking on our vacant properties to make sure that, and if you're not living in the area, then, working with us is even more simple, or maybe a better option, because we're going to take it over. We're going to take care of it and make it easy. But the winter months can wreak havoc on us if we're not taking care of our real estate. That's for sure.
Yeah, and that's one thing to take into consideration. A home is not something you can just let set through the winter time. It's got to be taken care of. Let's talk about the closing. When you set up a time, if you agree on a cash offer on the house and everything's agreed, you really are flexible when it comes to closing, aren't you?
Yes, we have closings right now that are just over 90 days out. So as an example, I'd say the average time frame from when we agree on a price to when we actually purchase the property is around 3.5 weeks. But there are exceptions because, you do have some control over the time frame working with us. So if you're trying to line up a sale date with a new purchase date, or just a sale date with a transition out of state, or wherever the next thing might be, we've got dates that are already 90 days out. So we're already looking at a target on a calendar, and we've agreed to it, and that works fine for us too. As long as we know up front, then we can plan accordingly.
Yeah, and then you can relax. Let's say you do a closing in 90 days. You have somewhere to live. You know that, you can start working on the next thing, transitioning to assisted living, or, transitioning to Florida, or, hey, I just got a, promotion and I've got to be in Denver in 2 weeks kind of thing. You offer that kind of flexibility that a lot of people don't. Is that if they need to, what is the soonest you can close most of the time without being quoted?
Well, if I could close on a house in 3 days, we would, but that doesn't work in Illinois as well as other states. So we are subject to attorneys, and we are subject to title companies. So I would say realistically, it's probably around 10 days to 14 days. Those that say they can do it quicker, I don't know how they're doing it, with the volume that we're doing. But I would say 10 to 14 days. And typically most people can't transition that quick anyway. So that's where it falls in that 3.5 week time frame on average, which gives people time to figure out the plans, because signing a contract and scheduling a closing date is one thing, and then you're left with the reality of when the door closes, we've got all the stuff in the boxes, and that you get overwhelmed. And that's the transition that we can help with, whether that's pairing you with movers or just different connections that we've built throughout the years. Again, we've got a lot of relationships. We like to be open book and be almost a liaison to help with the entire transition, not just the transaction.
And when you work with you and your company, you're really buying convenience, aren't you? I mean, that is the biggest part. You're buying convenience and making it a lot easier for that transition. Because if you're selling the house, it's a transition, right?
It is. It's the easy button. So it's hassle-free experience, making that transition easy. I think that's a great word for sure.
Yeah, and it makes sense. Great option. And then no charge for consultation. Happy to talk to people all over Chicagoland, right?
Yes, you guys can call us at any point in time, and we'll talk to you about your house and your needs, and we want to listen to you, and we'll take our time. That's obviously free of charge, and then us coming out and meeting with you is the same thing. There's no charge for that. We're not here to waste your time, not waste our time. We're here to educate the home sellers and help them understand how we can be of service to them. And if we can put a deal together, great. And we'd love to do some business with each other.
And your team is going to be able to give you more information about real estate than probably a whole lot of people, because you buy and sell homes all the time. So you probably have some pretty good research for people too, don't you?
Yeah, a couple thousand transactions over the last 15, 16, 17 years.
Yeah.
You build a pretty good idea of what's going on in the market and how things work and what's realistic. We want to be very realistic. No one likes in real estate transactions for things to change. And we just know that there's things out of our control, your control, my control, anyone's control. But we try to be really, really good communicators all the way through the process. And I think that's why we've earned the Better Business Bureau credibility we have and the Google reviews, et cetera, because we continue to work on that.
I appreciate it. Thanks for being on the show. Jeff Buys Your House, Jeff Neidiger. And the phone number again to call is 630-895-9530, or go to, and I encourage you to, the website, jeffbuysyourhouse.com. This is Home Answers on AM 560, The Answer.